Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Jarek Bryan Show. My name is Jarek. On this show, guys, we talk about all the topics that matter to us. But on today's show, we have a very special guest. Coming all the way from Avax, we have Jon Ray from Nftreasure. Jon Ray, how you doing, buddy?
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me. I'm a long time listener, first time caller, so it's good to be on the show, and I appreciate the service that you offer to the community. I think you do a great job of unpacking different projects, and I'm looking forward to getting into some of the nitty gritty of how degens and creators can engage with Nftreasure and the platform that our community has built.
No, I love that. And before we get into all that, though, Jon Ray, how did you get all the way here into Web3?
Oh man, so I have had a rather entrepreneurial life, and so people sometimes say that I've had an eclectic career. I've done everything from mow lawns to be a realtor to be an apartment locator to running a video production company. I then went and worked at Google and ran their global field marketing team. I've built a SaaS product. So in many ways, I've always just been really interested in technology and kind of the bleeding edge. Like I was blogging before everyone. In high school, I built a social network before MySpace and Facebook. And so I'm always just interested in like what's at the bleeding edge, like what's just ahead of the curve, and how can I position myself to ride the waves of these cycles. And so in 2019, I had a cursory glance at Bitcoin and crypto, but didn't really understand the dynamics of it. But I started doing some day trading and had some success with that. And so I just kind of started to deepen my knowledge of how these things actually work. And I came to Avax during the 2021 DeFi craze. First projects were a project called Wonderland and Smartcoin, and anybody who's an OG that's been around for that long knows how those projects turned out. But it was such an interesting way to cut my teeth with DeFi, and I met so many great friends, and collectively we learned, how to do crypto in a sustainable way. And how to do crypto in a way that wasn't so emotionally responding to the market, but rather like having a plan and sticking to a plan. And so over the last 18 months, those people that I met in those early days of crypto and I, as a community, have been building and contemplating how do you build a sustainable DeFi loop, and what are interesting use cases for crypto, and Nftreasure is kind of the child product of all of those conversations and all of that hard knocks. And so pretty exciting to see it, finally at the culmination point, and us being able to take everything that we've learned and share that in Nftreasure.
No, yeah, definitely. And everything that you like have with Nftreasure looks like, like super impressive, right? And kind of, I know this is going to be kind of hard because you guys do a lot of things, right? You got so many things kind of going on. But Nftreasure, exactly, like what exactly is it?
Yeah, so at its core, Nftreasure is a premium merchandising business. So one of the things that we noticed when we were exploring, like, where is there a gap in the crypto markets, is that nearly every NFT project, nearly every crypto project has merchandise or merch on their roadmap, and it's very rarely delivered on. Or if it is, it's delivered on with really cheap quality products that come from a big box builder. And so we wanted to make it easier for projects to just deliver that merchandise. One of my storied entrepreneurial ventures in the past was running a honey business, and part of that we built a pretty decent merchandising business where we were having just individual T-shirts that were doing hundreds of thousands of dollars in sales, and so I knew that merchandising in the right way was a really interesting way to build revenue, and that we were looking for some kind of an input to our game. So Nftreasure creates premium merch for you, and then you earn rewards in our ecosystem based on your ability to help us get word out about Nftreasure. And we're ultimately experimenting with Nftreasure and DeFi as a marketing mechanism. Of course, DeFi is a great way to earn additional yield on native tokens like Avax. That's why you would go into a DeFi loop. Is you want to try or attempt to make yield on your token above and beyond what you might get just running a validator node. And one of the things that Nftreasure solves for is the inputs that are required for DeFi. And at the end of 2021, all DeFi projects kind of collapsed, and we learned a lot. And the things that you need for a successful DeFi loop are new entrants into the ecosystem. But the reason that you need that is because you need new money coming into the ecosystem. And so we wanted to explore with what if you had other inputs into that ecosystem and you rewarded participants in the platform through some kind of an idle game. And so, we hear DeFi gaming all the time, and DeFi gaming isn't a video game. It's more like a chess game. The tokens in the ecosystem are like these chess pieces that you can move around through staking, through burning tokens, through upgrading tokens, and you can find optimal paths to increase yield on your tokens by taking right actions in the ecosystem. So ultimately, we thought that merchandise was an interesting way to not be reliant on hype cycles. If you've been in the Avax ecosystem the last couple of months, we had this kind of epic meme coin season, and then a lot of those projects kind of fizzled out because the winners won and everybody else wasn't there, and then people are on to other things now. People in crypto have the memory of a goldfish oftentimes because it moves so quickly. And we didn't want to be one of those protocols that was hot for a second and then forgotten about. And so what merchandise allows us to do is to be a part of every hype cycle, because we can partner with the projects that are popular right now. We can create merchandise around the narratives in crypto that are popular right now, and we can always tap in using merchandise to whatever the hot meta is at that moment. And so if you're on Twitter and in the Avax ecosystem, you've likely seen an Nftreasure garment show up in your timeline, because we have so many projects that are starting to utilize Nftreasure as a way to help their community raise a flag and say, hey, this is me. Because that's kind of what we do with merchandise. We wear something and we say, this is something that I value. This project has values that I align with. And so merchandise is a flag that we wave. And because we have a perfect project for being able to partner with literally any other project, we get free self-promotion or free promotion from all of these projects that are promoting their gear. And then we convert all of that attention into people that can enter our rewards ecosystem. And so our rewards ecosystem is a tri-token architecture. Anybody that's familiar with the chicken ecosystem will have probably a leg up in our ecosystem, because there's a lot of crossover between the Nftreasure community and the chicken community. We've tried to pay a respectful homage to DeFi systems like that, while solving for some of the things that we felt could be improved upon. And so coming up this next week, we'll be minting our treasure key NFTs, and that NFT gives you access to the rewards ecosystem and gives you the ability to earn commissions on merchandise sold and DeFi rewards from the DeFi loop. So there's a lot going on, but I'll kind of pause there and see if you have any questions.
Oh no, that's great. And I like the fact that you can actually, it's not just, okay, you're putting out this great merch, right? You can actually like earn rewards, right, on it, right? And kind of go a little bit more into like the rewards that they could actually like get in your ecosystem.
Yeah, so we have 3 tokens in our ecosystem. One is an NFT. It's called the Treasure Key NFT. There's only 12,000 of those keys, and these are upgradable NFTs. So each key can be upgraded from level 1 all the way to level 150. So We've got some personas that are like different strategies or routes that you could take in Nftreasure. So the first persona is the artist, and the artist is just somebody who is maybe a part of another community, maybe they're running another community, and they have a good idea for a t-shirt design. So they think, you know what, we say this funny phrase in our Discord all the time. I bet if I put that on a t-shirt or a hoodie, I could probably sell some if I posted the link here. So they can go to nftreasure.com. They can use our WYSIWYG editor to basically upload the image, pop that onto a garment. We turn that image into an NFT, and then the hoodie, the t-shirt, the hat, anything that has that image on it becomes a sub-product of that NFT. Now they can earn 10 to 40% commissions every time that hoodie sells. So when a hoodie sells, they retail for $79. 40% of that is $31. So every time a hoodie sells, if you're at a 40% commission, you're going to get $31. In order to get that 40% commission, you have to up-level your treasure key NFT to level 140 or higher. And you do that by burning smarter tokens. So the second token in our ecosystem is the smarter coin, or the smarter token, and it takes 2.1 billion smarter tokens to up level a key all the way to level 150. But the thing is, there's only enough smarter in existence to up level 6,000 of the 12,000 keys, and so because of this, we feel that this creates an interesting supply-demand issue where as more keys enter the ecosystem and are minted, if these people want to up-level their keys, they're going to have to buy smarter, and so it could create more demand than supply. That's part of our hypothesis. Now, why would you want to up-level your key above and beyond merchandise commissions? In the DeFi loop, we're issuing a third token called the treasure token. The treasure token is the value capture token of the entire ecosystem, and the treasure token is paid out at a rate depending on your key level and your treasure tier. So we have two pools in our DeFi game. One is called the key rewards pool, and one is called the bonus pool. In the key rewards pool, your key level times your treasure box tier is going to determine how much treasure is getting paid out to you on a daily, weekly, or monthly basis. So you can basically increase the rate of treasure tokens that you're earning by opening treasure boxes and by up-leveling your key level. When you open a treasure box, not only do you turn the treasure spigot on, but you also open yourself up to the opportunity to win physical prizes. So with every treasure box open, comes the increase in basically APR of what you're earning in the treasure token, but you're also getting a roll to see, did I win a sticker pack or a hoodie or a t-shirt or an Xbox or a treasure wallet, you know, so we can work with sponsors to basically hide prizes in these treasure boxes. And in addition to the token yield that you're earning, and the treasure token is paired with Avax, so any yield that you're earning on treasure can ultimately be positioned in the liquidity pool, which we'll get into in a bit. But you may have seen like different point systems in e-commerce stores or airline miles. These points come from a centralized system, and so we thought, wouldn't it be interesting if we use DeFi and decentralized assets? It's kind of an e-commerce point system that relied on the mechanics of DeFi to then give those tokens additional yield. And so in the key rewards pool, your treasure tokens are amplified based on your key level and which tier you've opened to. In the bonus rewards pool, you can stake that treasure either into the LP or single side stake that to increase the rate at which treasure is being distributed to you. And so ultimately in the bonus pool, the reason that we call it a game is that every single day there's a finite amount of tokens that are distributed to the bonus pool. Your percentage of each of four levers will determine how much of that treasure token you're going to earn. And so the levers are VE treasure balance, which you earn by single side staking treasure, treasure Avax LP, which you earn by deepening the liquidity pool on the treasure token, smarter Avax LP, which you earn by deepening the liquidity pool on the smarter pool, and then your cumulative key level. So let's say I have 10 keys and each key is leveled up to level 10. My cumulative key level would be key level 100. And so a percentage of my rewards in the bonus pool are related to that. So I'm talking fast and there's a lot going on here, but those are kind of the core mechanics, and we can dive a little bit more. But it might be useful to unpack some of the personas that and the strategies that are connected to that. So the first persona that I talked about was the artist, and that's somebody who's basically only minting a key so that they can get the merchandise commissions. So I'll pause there and then we can maybe go into some of the other personas, but is that making sense?
Yeah, it's definitely making sense though. But like, I also want to ask you too before we get into the personas as well. Will there be any kind of like education like on this ecosystem, like video content or anything like that? It's going to kind of like walk people through this whole process because, like I said, it's a very like robust and very well thought out, right? But some people that some people really need you to kind of sit down and kind of walk them through it, like this guy right here. No, but like, is there going to be any kind of content that's coming out like that?
For sure. So depending on how deep down the rabbit hole somebody wants to go, I'll just say that the simplest way to think about it is you open treasure boxes and you earn treasure. The higher your key level, the more treasure you're going to earn when you open treasure boxes. And so that's the simplest level that you could engage with it at. I've already put out a 3.5-hour video that goes through the entire white paper and has a lot of alpha in it. So if somebody really wants to dive deep, they can go through that video. If you go to nftreasure.com and click on the play video button above the fold, there's a 1-hour master guide there that unpacks this in I think a way that is pretty easy to understand. But probably the best way is to just recognize that you're not going to know how to do everything in the ecosystem. And we've built a very friendly community and a Discord server where you can ask questions with zero judgment. So we really want Nftreasure to be a place where people can go to learn about DeFi. Maybe they've never been a part of a DeFi loop and they don't know how to do this. And we want Nftreasure to be this entry point where you can slowly, have some handholding in the Discord to figure out how to optimally engage with all of these things. And because we have the merchandising side of things, we feel that Nftreasure can be a really interesting way to onboard quote unquote normies into the space, because what happens so often is crypto is liquidity just moves from project to project to project, and it's just the same people cycling the same money around, and so where crypto really starts to take off is when new retail entrants come into the marketplace, and we need to find ways to properly onboard those. Well, through our merchandising campaigns, we just brought on one of the top e-commerce agencies in the world to help us grow our brand. This is an agency that's built many multi-million-dollar clothing brands, and in advertising, online advertising, you can have what's called delta neutral or EV positive advertising campaigns. It's because we're selling a physical product, we can basically get to the point where we know that for every dollar that we spend, we're going to make at least $1.01. And that means that we can essentially scale up an advertising campaign and be spending $30,000, $40,000 a month and have it pay for itself. Well, a $30,000, $40,000 ad spend, when we get to that level, is getting Nftreasure and just Web3 principles in front of millions of people every single month. And so we'll slowly be building out campaigns that help take somebody who bought a hoodie and slowly drip educate them through emails, text messages, and videos into how to safely and responsibly engage with a Web3 platform like Nftreasure. And we think this can be a really interesting way to bring new people into the Avax ecosystem.
No, totally. I like the fact that you guys have thought out, onboarding, I'm not going to say like normies, like, there's something wrong with this, but like, I guess you could say like something like, Web 2 people and whatnot. So I love the fact that you're doing that, but I do want to kind of go back in the personas before we lose it. Like, I know, like I said, this is very kind of like robust and everything like that, but definitely hop into those personas, man.
Yeah. So we talked about the artist. That's basically somebody who's just knows that creativity is currency, right? So if I have an idea for a project that I'm in, if there's a phrase that I see people say all the time in Discord, I can go to nftreasure.com. I can click on the product that I want to create. I can use the design to the WYSIWYG design tool in Nftreasure, or I could use something like Photoshop or Canva and create my design and then upload it. And now I can turn that into merchandise that gets listed on nftreasure.com. When I share that link, I'll get a commission from 10 to 40% depending on my key level. That's the artist persona. The next persona is somebody that we call Commissioner Gordon. And so Commissioner Gordon is like all about the data, sir. They're somebody that maybe, isn't a designer. They don't have a creative flair, but they recognize that one of the things that we're building out in Nftreasure is something that we call an ecom value indicator. So let's say that I make a t-shirt for the Avax ecosystem, and it's just a red Dorito, right? And so that represents the red Avax triangle, and I put that on a t-shirt and a hoodie and a hat. Well, that red Dorito is represented by an NFT inside the Nftreasure ecosystem. And that NFT has metadata that we call the ecom value indicator. That metadata is showcasing how many product sales has that particular design had over the last 7, 30, and 90 days. So if I sold $1,000 worth of red Dorito products over the last 30 days, the ecom value indicator would be $1,000. Well, that me as the artist, maybe my key level is only at level 10. And so I'm only getting a 10% commission. So I'm basically making $100 a month off of my red Dorito. But maybe somebody else has already leveled up their key to level 150. And so they get a 40% commission on any of the designs that they own. Well, they might put an offer on my red Dorito, see that it's making $1,000 a month in sales, and say, well, they're only making $100 a month on that. I could immediately be making $400 a month on that. And so what does that mean that they're willing to spend on that NFT? Is it $400? Is it $1,200? And so this is something that we call e-commerce arbitrage. And it's people who are scanning the marketplace for things that are selling. And they know that through the ecom value indicator. And then they're making offers on keys that they know they'll be able to turn a commission on, or maybe make a higher commission because they have a higher key level. And so this means you don't have to be an artist. You just can be somebody who has a keen sense of what might sell, or somebody who has good taste in art. And then you can start to play around with accumulating different designs, and whoever holds the NFT design is going to get the commission payout of that. So Commissioner Gordon is kind of like the artist, but they're taking it from a different approach. They're kind of working with artists or purchasing the IP rights from an artist so that they can then gain the commissions off of that. Does that make sense?
That does actually make sense. So you can basically just kind of, I wouldn't say like pose, but you can basically get someone's design, and they're like, and everything like that. I just think you can collect so many different, designs and whatnot that are kind of like selling at that time, though. That's very interesting. I've never heard anybody do that. Yeah, man. And what's his name? One Third Nerd was telling me, like, yeah, man, Nftreasure is definitely something you guys want to get into, because she was trying to tell us on the Polygon Hangout that it's very well thought out, and they're doing a lot of like great things, and kind of asking that too as well. It's not just other projects come on and like have their merchandise made on your website and whatnot.
Yeah, so we right now, because we're in beta, we're not quite permissionless yet. So there is a human that has to approve everything that comes up, although we approve everything, so we're not restricting it in any way. But in the next 3 to 4 weeks, will be a fully permissionless system where anybody can come in. The product creator tool that we have will sync with NFTs on Polygon, on Avalanche, on Ethereum, on Arbitrum, on Optimism, and those are the ones for now. We may be adding some others in the future. So any of the NFTs that you have, you can immediately turn into merchandise. We've partnered with streetwear artists that have kind of created these like templates so that you can take your Square NFT and kind of put it into like a melting TVs or something, and it makes it have a little bit more of a streetwear feel, instead of just having a square on a shirt. So anybody could turn their NFTs into a product, but any project on any network could upload their project art, make merchandise, and then share that link out with their project, and we would deliver that. The only caveat is that, and maybe something we haven't talked about, is every single garment has an NFC chip. So it's basically a computer chip that lives behind the woven label. So you can see on my shirt here, right
Okay,
here.
I see.
Yeah, so right on every single shirt is a woven label that has near field communication in it, which means you can hold your phone up to it. And then right now it opens up an app. In the future, we'll be moving to a mobile based web app. But it basically allows you to claim an NFT, to claim tokens. There's a lot of different experiences that we can trigger on the other side of the NFC chip. Most of those experiences are built out on Avax right now. It doesn't mean that we won't expand to other chains, but just so people know, like when you validate that NFC chip, the validation would happen on the Avalanche network. Although nowhere in the app does it actually say that. So we've had several projects from Ethereum and Polygon partner with us, and we are more than willing to kind of customize that back end, assuming we can make it mutually beneficial. But some of the back end experiences that we're building on the NFC chip, and again, the treasure token is kind of the value capture of all of these things. But one is, we just brought on an augmented reality developer who is essentially helping us to design part of the NFC experience where you'll scan your label. And we want our clothing to be like social, so that you can have conversations about crypto in the real world. So your friend asks you about your crypto shirt. This one says make Avax meme coins great again, and they're like, oh, what's that all about? Oh, it's this really Avax is this really cool ecosystem, and there's a lot of really interesting crypto projects. Actually, here, take my phone and scan this. So they scan the NFC chip. It pulls up the camera app. They're holding up the camera app and they see the shirt through the phone app, but that design kind of dissolves, and this portal, augmented reality portal, opens up, and they can literally, with their camera, walk into that portal, and it's kind of like a Joshua tree on shrooms type environment, where now there's all these little characters walking around, UFOs flying, shooting stars, and they can explore this Joshua tree environment, or this kind of Vegas desert environment, hunting for treasure boxes. And if they find a treasure box, they can pinch that, open it up, kind of like the old Super Mario Brothers days, where you would open that treasure box and then a little prize would pop out. And we can distribute coupons, alpha, video content, music, NFTs or token downloads, or NFTs that represent physical prizes. And so this can be a really interesting way for people to share crypto and Nftreasure and the other projects that they're in via a really salient experience. And we feel that once this is developed, if we're running Instagram and Twitter ads where the phone comes into frame, and all of a sudden you see this world that you can enter through this merchandise, that's going to be a really interesting way for our ads to convert into product sales. And of course, that means that we're going to be ramping up the amount of people that we can get in front of. And the treasure token is a finite supply. And so the more attention that we have on it, the more that entire e-commerce / DeFi rewards ecosystem means, and the value capture system that it can be for the community.
No, that is great, because you actually covered kind of like some of the questions I had, because I definitely had the questions about the augmented reality and the NFC like technology too, as well, and then the messaging too, and he knocked out all those questions right there. I think it's super interesting too that, like I said, it's a product that they see it, right? They can scan it and they can do other things with it too as well. And I just think I haven't seen anybody do that just yet. So yeah, man, it's just very. Now you guys have very well thought out ecosystem. But as I talk to you guys, kind of about this, right, and kind of what went on in the whole Avax ecosystem, right, and there was this big, huge meme going craze that kind of went on, right. Now, what was kind of your take on all that situation as you were kind of watching it, right, as you were seeing of course I can never say it without laughing. But the Coq Inu token, right? What was your kind of take on all that?
Yeah, well, it's fun, right? Like if you're not putting more money in than you can afford to lose, it's fun to see innovation in all of its different forms. And so, what are meme coins? Like people say that meme coins have no utility, but the utility of meme coins is the community that forms around them. And so, in many ways, Coq Inu became this $100 million advertising campaign for Avalanche because you had places like KuCoin adding it. You had speculation of these other exchanges. All these YouTubers started talking about it, and so I think that you could make an argument that Coq Inu has probably onboarded many new people into the Avax ecosystem that otherwise wouldn't have been here. Now, of course, after Coq Inu, we had meme coin season and a bunch of different meme coins spun up, and some of those may do well, and some of those may ultimately fickle out. Ultimately, when you're looking at crypto projects, you want to look at the teams behind these things, and are those teams that have staying power, and are they communities that have staying power? One of the things that I'm really proud of with Nftreasure is that we've been building for 2 years through the bear market. We're still here. We're still innovating. We're still doing things. We're still engaging with the community every single day. And so I think that we've gone through our hard knocks proving ground of showcasing that we're not going anywhere. And that's kind of what you want because in many projects, especially if it's run by a new founder, it can be a roll of the dice on whether they actually have the nervous system to handle running a Web3 project, because it's incredibly taxing emotionally to run a project that has a 24-hour global community. And so I think that with a lot of these meme coins, you saw like true leaders rise to the surface and become advocates in their community. And with some of them, you recognize that this person just doesn't have what it takes, or this community doesn't have what it takes. And so anytime there's a hype cycle like this, like the thing to do is just to be in observer mode and take in all of the data and feel it in your nervous system, and don't be too reactionary in what you're doing. Like Gribbly, one of the founders of Coq Inu, had a great post about not doing something from a place of emotion, because when you're not present, that's when mistakes happen in Web3. That's when you send something to the wrong contract address. That's when you approve a transaction that you shouldn't have on a fake website. That's when you buy the top. It's when you're acting emotionally. Like FOMO is real, fear of missing out, and anytime you feel that frenzy of energy in your body that says, "Ooh, I got to do this now. I got to move quick," that should be an alarm system that says, "Stop what you're doing, take a count to 10, take a few breaths, and make sure that you're present in your actions and not doing something from an emotional state." And if you can stay present, and all meme coins, all hype cycles, all these projects are just opportunities to practice this, you will become a better trader and a better participant in the Web3 space.
I love that, definitely, because all bad decisions definitely on my end have come from emotions, though. But kind of like what people kind of say, though, as like, that are, I guess you could say, against crypto, right? That kind of like meme coins in a weird way kind of like hurt kind of like the making crypto like more legitimate, right? And kind of like, what's your opinion on that, right? Because basically everyone that kind of gets angry at the fact that there's like, you can spin up a hamster with boobs coin or something like that, you know what I mean? And it's just like, no, how can this whole sector itself be legitimate if they're just doing things like this? So, but kind of like, what's your kind of take on that?
Yeah, well, I'm an old guy, so I remember the 90s when the internet came up, and they were saying the same thing about memes and blogs and it's never going to have any real value because it's just people sending jokes around in email. So people who aren't visionary and can't see how something has to be seeded into the culture in order to have a fax machine effect. You need to have a bunch of people with fax machines for that network effect to be valuable. And the internet and crypto is just a way to properly align incentives in creating network effects. And so to say it would be like saying that email is important, but MySpace wasn't, because it was just a bunch of dumb kids that were posting glitter memes.
Yeah.
You know, so you can't have one without the other. Like everything is seeding the consciousness, because what happened? All those kids on MySpace grew up and now they run Silicon Valley. So there's a ripple effect that happens to all of this, and so if somebody's entry point is that they're 21 years old and they think it's funny that there's a coin called Coq, well, that's their entry point. And of course, they're going to evolve their thinking. You know, Coq Inu, I think, is an interesting project in that it really showcases the power of community and the power of being able to seed ideas through memes. And so, what do you learn when you're in a meme coin project? You learn that visually representing things is a really powerful way to share information. You learn the power of deepening liquidity. You learn not to respond emotionally to things, and you do it in a fun way. And you know, when it comes to education, like the old adage is, you want to fall in love with your teacher. Well, if you've never been a part of Web3 tech and you're not geeky and don't want to really figure it out, it's more fun to learn it with a group of degenerates that are all, you know, sharing memes and having fun, because you will actually embody the information better within a salient event. And a salient event is something that feels that means that it's emotionally meaningful to you. And so whether meme coins you know have true economic value or not, and we could argue about that, but meme coins are a capture mechanism for attention, and we live in an attention economy. And you couldn't have spent $100 million well, let me take that back. You couldn't have spent the small amount of money that was required in the grand scheme of things to start Coq Inu and gotten $100 million worth of advertising in any other field in the world. And so, of course, there's always going to be haters, and there's always going to be purists, and there's always going to be people that say, oh, this makes us just look like a bunch of gamblers who are emotionally out of control. But every industry has that, and certainly the internet has that. And you know, I think that anything that brings people together in community and allows them to learn in a way that is more impactful than standard schooling, because it's easier to learn when we have friends around us, I think it's interesting. And so to me, the utility of meme coins is creating a salient entry point into Web3 for people who, of course, are going to evolve their understanding, but they're always going to have that first entry point, you know, if it's a meme coin, where they learn the basics in a really fun way, and in a way where you have a fondness on like the time that you were in college or the time that you were in high school. Like, were all of the decisions that you made as a 20-year-old in college the best decisions that you could have made? Probably not, but they're definitely going to be some of your most fond memories, and certainly they inspired the person that you became. The thing that I think is really interesting about Coq Inu is that if you look at the makeup of the community, it's actually not just a meme coin, because there are so many developers that are developing on it and that are interested in it. You know, we saw the other day that Steven from Go Pool, who is helping put together the Coqnet, this subnet that Coq will run on. Well, the developers that are a part of this are like some of the top validators from Avax. So to think that a meme coin can't spark the imagination of really smart people is completely naive to how things work. You know, anybody that's ever worked in venture capital in Silicon Valley knows that like it's just a bunch of jokes behind the scenes. Like everybody's trying to make each other laugh because that's how you get through the day, and that's how you have fun. And so I think people really underestimate the amount of serious thinkers that are getting into projects like Coq Inu. Now, other projects I can't necessarily speak to because I'm not as heavily involved, but there's something to learn in everything. And in all meme coin projects, I guess maybe the biggest thing to understand is how much liquidity does a token have, and what does that mean for your ability to move in and out of the marketplace? And so a lot of people get burned in meme coins because they're investing into things that only have, $10,000 in liquidity. And so, a $500 purchase is going to massively move the needle in something like that, where as you learn to identify liquidity and identify how projects are deepening liquidity, you recognize things like slippage and how to effectively layer in and out of your positions so that you're maximizing the reward potential of being involved in something like that. And ultimately, for me, all crypto is a networking opportunity. Like, if you're on Twitter and you're cock aligned, that means that you have the attention of other people in that community, and that can be an incredibly valuable networking tool. So I know we kind of diverted from Nftreasure, but at Nftreasure, we believe that memes are powerful. It's why we want people putting them on merchandise, because we feel that mimetic concepts, visual concepts, that's what you see on a t-shirt. It's a meme. It's a visual concept. We feel that could be a really interesting bridge from the digital to physical world.
No, that's great, because I've seen a lot of some of the merch too as well. Like, of course, like the hoodies, right? The bot casts and everything like that came from it, the mugs and everything like that. I was like, man, that is so, freaking, like brilliant. And kind of hats off to you guys for like incorporating that and accepting it, right? And actually, like I said, the merchandise looks really, really cool. I've seen like One Third Nerd wear it. Of course, Clint, Vincent Van Ho. I don't know if you know her too as well. Like, she's having all this stuff, and I've seen everybody is on the timeline, boom, 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 and it's just been an amazing thing to see. And I'm glad I was actually able to actually be a part of that, right? And you kind of spoke to this kind of like earlier too as well. You guys have been here building, right? You've been in here in this bear market. Things I like to ask projects that have been building in this bear market, like, what are some of the lessons that this bear market has taught you in building it?
Yeah, well, the biggest lesson is you have to know who you are personally if you want to build in this space, because if you're on the emotional roller coaster that is crypto in a bear market, and people are financially invested in the markets around you, then inevitably somebody's going to have a bad day, and because they're anonymous on Twitter, they're going to project those big feelings forward at you, and they're going to call you nasty names, or they're going to say nasty things about you. And it doesn't mean that there's truth to those things, and it doesn't mean that you can't heal those relationships, but it does mean that as a project founder, you have to have the stomach to go through that. And I think some people do, and some people don't, and some people find their sea legs over time. And I feel really proud of our community as being able to kind of weather the storm of that and continue to build and to feel our big feelings and use that as inspiration to do something even better. And so the most challenging aspect of working with a 24/7 global community is that it's emotionally taxing. And so I would say that that's the biggest thing in a bear market is if you're part of a leadership team in any community, there's always going to be a handful of people that are asking when, why aren't you moving faster? Why aren't you doing more? And of course, you can do what you can do, and you can try to improve a little bit every single day. And that's what we've always tried to do with Nftreasure. And I think we've done a good job of that. And I think bear markets are a gestation period. And so the idea gets seeded there. But just like when a child gets seeded in a female womb, it takes 9 months for that thing to get to the point where it's actually a human being that can come out. And so my thoughts, about just creation in general, when you're trying to bring any creative idea forth, is that there's always going to be the seeding ground and then the gestation process. And there's going to be birthing pains and there's going to be cramps and there's going to be things that are uncomfortable. And so you have to be someone who is willing to go through that experience and visionary enough to see that on the other side of that is something incredibly beautiful. So that's the hardest thing about building in crypto, is managing expectations and being able to continue to make progress when not everybody in your community is going to like you all the time. And crypto is a very difficult place for people who are people pleasers. And I consider myself to be a recovering people pleaser. And so that's been the evolution of my journey over the last 2 years.
Oh man, that is a great answer, especially a great answer on the meme coin too as well. But as we get kind of back to Nftreasure, right? You have like the whole kind of just the NFC chip thing kind of going on. You guys got this treasure system and everything like that. The augmented reality. Is there anything that we kind of just like kind of missed, or something that else that you kind of want to like get a deep dive into in this robust ecosystem?
Yeah, well, I've got a few more personas that we could go through on the DeFi side. Like ultimately, DeFi loops as a concept are a way to earn yield on top of the native token, and so projects create different supply demand equilibriums to build out something that's called game balance, and game balance just means that the inputs of revenue or financial input into the system ideally outpace the exit points, and so really what you're trying to do is gamify certain braking systems so that rather than people immediately taking their tokens and dumping them into the liquidity pool to exchange for Avax, instead you're giving them reasons to park those tokens. And so in our ecosystem, you can park those tokens in the bonus rewards pool by forming LP for the Smarter Treasure token, single side staking treasure to earn voting escrow, which allows you to have voting power within the ecosystem. One thing that I think is important to know about Nftreasure is that it's the culmination of over 220 community votes. And so it really has been a community driven project. Everything from which proposal will we go to, what's the name of the project, electing me as the project lead. These were all communities that voted these things into being. And so at first in a project, it's very easy to do things because the community is small. And so it's kind of like turning a speedboat, which is very easy. As the community grows and grows and grows, and we have a rather large community now, it's more like turning a cruise ship. And so then that requires a different level of expectation management. And the next persona on our list is the diamond hander. And the diamond hander is the visionary trader. It's somebody who's not necessarily trading temporary volatility, but they're recognizing that the tokens in an ecosystem represent stronger value in the future than they do now. And so they're a hodler in many ways. And the diamond hand persona in Nftreasure is just trying to accumulate as much treasure as possible because they recognize that once treasure hits its supply cap, it will be a finite supply. They recognize that smarter is already hyper deflationary. There will never be more smarter than there are now. And there are game dynamics in place where you have to burn smarter to up-level your key. Every time smarter is burned, that means the circulating supply of smarter gets smaller and smaller and smaller, which potentially creates more demand on that token. The same thing happens with treasure because you have to burn treasure to open treasure boxes. And ultimately, the e-commerce store will become a forced buyer of treasure because as a marketing expense, we'll take 10 to 40% of proceeds from the e-commerce side, and we'll use that to reward all of the degens in our ecosystem that are keeping Nftreasure in the public eye by sharing that they're engaging with the ecosystem, by logging in every single day and taking certain actions in the DeFi loop, by creating merchandise and then promoting that merchandise. We want to reward that as a marketing expense. And so 10 to 40% of the proceeds from the e-commerce side, once we hit the treasure supply cap, will be used to buy treasure out of the liquidity pool. So this is forced buying of treasure from the e-commerce brand as a marketing expense and then distributed through the bonus pool. So the diamond hander recognizes that that's probably going to happen, 10 to 18 months from now, depending on how many people are engaging in gameplay, and they want to be in position to start capturing some of that value. So that's the diamond hand persona. The next one is the dumper. We many loyal community members fear the dumper, but it's certainly a viable strategy. And the dumper is somebody who gets a key. Maybe they level it up as fast as they can. Maybe they open up large LP positions to deepen liquidity. But then the tokens that they're earning from that, they're immediately dumping into the LP. And so, of course, that's a strategy. We've built out some braking mechanisms to prevent against that. One of them being that in the bonus pool, there's 4 levers that determine how much of the rewards pool you're going to earn. And one of the most weighted of those levers is voting escrow, or VE treasure. In order to get VE treasure, you have to single side stake your treasure and then claim your VE treasure that gets paid out at a rate of 0.02 per hour per treasure staked. Well, if I unstake my treasure at any point, my VE treasure balance immediately drops to 0, which means that I lose about 35% of my earning or reward potential within the bonus pool. So the dumper is going to be able to, of course, swap their tokens anytime they want for Avax or for other cryptocurrencies. But over time, it will become an EV negative strategy because they won't be capturing the maximum rewards, since their VE treasure balance will always be at 0. So that's the dumper, and certainly a viable strategy, and a strategy that we all need to be aware of so that we can properly position ourselves. I've got, I think, 4 more strategies. Do you want me to lightning through them, or you want to ask?
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, definitely.
Cool. So the next one is the trader. This is probably the one that most people are familiar with in crypto. This is somebody that's not even necessarily tuned in to the NFT or the DeFi side of things. They just recognize that, okay, these are 2 relatively low liquidity tokens. The smarter token, which is already available, you can go to Trader Joe and get that right now. It has a liquidity, I think, around 600,000 or 700,000, depending on the day, which is pretty deep liquidity compared to a lot of the other tokens that have come out over this year. Where the treasure token will be launching next week, and it will launch with 40,000 liquidity depth. And then, of course, adding more liquidity is incentivized within our ecosystem. But the trader is going to be looking for the narratives around those tokens and, swing trading or trading that volatility. So if they see, okay, there's only enough smarter to up level, 5,500 keys, that means that people are going to be scrambling for smarter, which means there's going to be demand. And so maybe there's a play that they can make to get ahead of some of that demand. Same with the treasure token. If they're anticipating that, if the e-commerce store is showcasing positive growth month over month, that's going to mean that more people are going to want to accumulate more treasure, then maybe they can position themselves for that. They're not necessarily a hodler. They're more like a swing trader, but they're recognizing the narratives in the project and then, trading based on those. The next one is the giveaway junkie, which I think is a fun one in our ecosystem. So you may have seen some of the partnerships that we did with, like, the Coq Inu token, where they were giving away merchandise, and some of those tweets, got like 500 likes, hundreds of retweets, and so the giveaway junkie is somebody that just has notifications turned on for me for the Nftreasure account for any of the projects that we're partnered with. And when they see a tweet that says, hey, retweet this and you might win something, they're retweeting it, because there's a lot of giveaways that we do with different projects. But then they're also minting a treasure key NFT, and they're opening treasure boxes, because every time you open a treasure box, you have the chance to win one of the rewards from the prize season. So in the first prize season, it's going to be things like sticker packs, hats, mugs, hoodies, sweatshirts, t-shirts, Xbox, treasure wallets. And so by opening treasure boxes, you have a chance to potentially win one of those. So the giveaway junkie is more concerned with, opening as many treasure boxes as they can to try to win some of those bigger physical prizes. Next up on the list is the liquidity provider. So the bonus pool is where you provide liquidity. That's where you can deepen the liquidity on the smarter token and the treasure token. Let me rephrase that. So in order to provide liquidity, until we mint the first 12,000 keys, you will have to be a key holder in order to gain access to the additional liquidity incentives. So to get into the bonus pool, you'll need to have a key. It's gated behind key access. And so early key holders will be able to build out their liquidity position and glean more of those rewards early on. Once we hit 12,000 keys, we will then shift over to opening the bonus pool. The key rewards pool will still only be available to key holders, but the bonus pool will be open to anyone. So why do we do this? Well, once our key holders, which are VIP supporters of the project, once they have properly positioned themselves, we know that that in many projects, you know, even if there's only 10,000 NFTs, there may be 30,000 token holders, and so we want to make sure that we open up the ecosystem for people outside of our key holders to provide liquidity and deepen the liquidity on that token, because remember, that reduces slippage. It makes it easier to layer in and out of your positions, and so ultimately you want to incentivize as much deepening of liquidity as possible. And so that's what the liquidity provider is doing, is they're taking very large LP positions and then earning treasure for doing that. And then I guess the final persona is just the hybrid persona. It's understanding all of those different strategies and recognizing that at different times of the market cycle, at different times in the brand narrative, certain things might be more valuable to the community or to the ecosystem. And so the hybrid is always thinking, you know, 7 steps ahead, 32 steps ahead. They're feeling into all the fundamental narratives, but also following the technicals. And then like a chameleon, they're moving in and out of those different personas to be able to maximize their rewards. So that you may have to go back and watch that for anybody that's watching to really figure out which degen are you, which persona do you fit into. But if you can kind of identify yourself with one of those personas, it can be an interesting way for you to then get your toe in the water, mint a treasure key and NFT February 28th through March 3rd. Or until the keys, we mint out all of the keys, and then start to slowly play around with those different strategies and personas that our community has put together.
You know, I love that, because I was just going to ask you, you can switch through personas. Like, man, you just like, man, I love that. You're answering kind of every other questions that I have to ask. And, you know, this is a great kind of breakdown. And I love the fact that, you know, you have all these things kind of going on, but I do want to kind of pivot real quick and kind of go to something else too as well. So as you can kind of see, you know, today was kind of like a bad day, right? And kind of the Avax ecosystem, right? We had to kind of go down, right? But what is kind of like your outlook on the Avax ecosystem itself? Not only just the NFT ecosystem, but also Avax itself. Like, where do you kind of see it at in this next bull run?
Yeah, well, I really think that Avax has one of the best business development teams in crypto, and so you know, one of the things that people in Silicon Valley and the Web 2 world know is that your business development team is everything, because it represents how much attention are you going to be able to bring into your project, how much revenue are you going to be, and the way that Avax earns revenue is more people using gas, right? Using Avax for gas. And so I think that they have a business development team that's incredible at finding larger projects that in companies that are looking to utilize subnets and looking to utilize the ecosystem. So I definitely think future is bright for the Avax ecosystem, and it's one of the reasons that we're bullish on Avax. The reason that Nftreasure is on Avax is that we're very aligned with Avax's mission to tokenize real world assets, and so Nftreasure is kind of a microcosm of that. If we have a digital twin of a hoodie, that's us tokenizing the hoodie, and so we can play around at a small level with what some of that digital to physical interplay can look like, and then extrapolate that up to a level where are the lessons that we could learn on what we could apply to tokenizing a house or to tokenizing a business, and so I really think that narrative will continue to prevail in crypto as a whole. And you know, with the ETFs coming online for Bitcoin, potentially an Ethereum ETF coming up, the halving, you know, coming probably in April, the crypto in many ways is about, is there a strong narrative happening? And I think that we have several, you know, interesting narratives. We saw kind of a sell the news event on the ETF, but if there's a future Ethereum ETF, if there's a future Solana ETF, and certainly as crypto becomes more widely adopted as a mechanism for tokenizing or financializing physical assets. I think that Avax is well positioned for that, and you know, with the burn structure that they have in their tokenomics. I like the Avax ecosystem. You know, I also think that Arbitrum has a really interesting you know, L2 to engage with, and that there's some interesting things being built there, and you know, at Nftreasure, we really want to embrace multi-chain partnerships, and it's one of the reasons that already we can partner and do NFT sync with not just Avax wallets, but with Ethereum, with Polygon, with Optimism, with Solana. So, you know, the interesting thing about nascent industries is that the volatility either kills you or it makes you incredibly wealthy, and not that that's the sole purpose for being in crypto. For me, like I really appreciate the community aspect of crypto. You know, I'm in certain crypto projects not because I'm ever going to floor my NFT, but because it's like joining a networking club. And I think, especially in the early days before you know, rather than over investing, if you think about crypto as a networking club, as a networking group, you know, again, I'm showing my age, but in the 90s, you had to pay like $500 a month to be a part of like the local community club, you know, and then that got you access to people that wanted to. I can remember running a video production company and being a member of the Chamber of Commerce, and so when somebody wanted to shoot a commercial for their car lot, they would call me because I was the only video production company in the Chamber of Commerce. Well, that's the same thing for all meme coins, for all crypto projects, for all NFTs. Like, you're joining a networking group, and if you can properly position yourself as a persona within that community where people know what value you can offer, you can use it as a lead gen for sure and make really solid business connections. And so for my friends that are just getting into crypto, I always try to convince them to approach crypto in that way first, because it's such a good way to get your sea legs, and you're not going to be so dependent on the whims of your nervous system if you do it that way. And then you'll find the narratives that are right for you, because of course there's the macro narrative of crypto, which in my opinion is an up-only narrative. You know, but you have to decide, what's your time horizon. Do you need to exit the marketplace at the end of the year? Okay, well, you're going to need to be a little bit more cautious. But if you're somebody that's just saving for retirement and you don't need to exit for 10 years or more, then crypto to me is a perfect supply-demand equilibrium, and it seems so obvious to me that you know, we're in the early stages of mass adoption, just like we saw with the internet, just like we saw with smartphones. Look up what the haters were saying about the internet and smartphones when they came out. It is literally the exact same narratives that they're now saying about crypto. So those people are always wrong, and you just have to recognize that that you know, the techno optimist viewpoint is that innovation always wins out, and that will happen because part of, you know, to take it to a little bit of a metaphysical space, part of the awakening process that's happening is a financial awakening, and crypto is such an interesting rabbit hole to go down to actually realize what money is. And when you actually realize what money is, you're much more capable of wielding it in the world, and so I think that that's the most empowering part of getting involved in a crypto project, is that you're educating yourself on how the world actually works, and whether you win in the markets or lose in the markets, if you're able to walk away with a deeper philosophical understanding of how business actually operates and how the world really works, then I would say that it's a net positive or EV positive relationship that you have with crypto.
Oh no, that was actually a great answer, and I love that answer, you know, too, as well. And I kind of want to get, because I noticed your book right there in the background too, as well. And you know, how do you kind of see the NFT tech in general evolving over these like next 5 years?
Yeah. So, there was a recent Rolling Stone article that said 97% of NFT projects have lost all of their value, and on the surface, that seems like it's a really negative statement for the NFT space until you realize that it's very similar numbers when you look at small businesses, how many small businesses are still around 5 years later. And it's a very similar number. And so crypto just has a sped up lifespan. You're going to get burned out and know if your project works or not way faster than 5 years. And so what it fails to recognize is 3% of those projects are thriving and they've built multi-million, maybe billion-dollar brands. And so to me, those numbers don't scare me because it would be like saying, well, 97% of small businesses fail after 5 years. So why start a business? Well, you just have to know yourself. You have to know what you're capable of, and you have to recognize that you don't ever have to live in the bell curve statistic. You can be an anomaly on either side, and visionaries are anomalies, and statistics are never going to hold them back. And you better believe that the most visionary people are always going to be seeding their ideas into wherever the leading bleeding edge of tech is. And right now, that's AI and blockchain. And so those things are going to continue to thrive. The narratives will slowly shift. The people that are poo-pooing it now will slowly get into position and become advocates. We're already seeing that. And so I feel like the future of NFTs, maybe we move away from like a PFP meta, although I do think that it's an interesting way to just build community and in an attention an attention economy, attention is everything. So NFTs I think can be useful for that. But I also think that they're going to become something that allows you to tokenize the world around you. And so in Nftreasure, what does it look like? Well, when you win an Xbox, you're not getting a physical Xbox, you're getting an NFT that represents an Xbox. So you could redeem that for an Xbox, or if you don't want an Xbox, you can flip it on a secondary market and take the money instead. Now imagine if you could do that with airline miles. I don't know if you've ever tried to buy airline miles, on the black market, which is where you have to go, which is basically Craigslist. But it's incredibly frustrating to try to buy airline miles because they're centralized assets. There's not a readily available secondary marketplace, and so I can almost guarantee you that over the next 5 years, all point systems are going to move to some kind of a decentralized asset system, so that there's a secondary market for those things. And we're kind of waiting for the regulatory clarity for all of these corporations to jump in. But you can't tell me that companies like Shopify and Square and these companies that are utilizing these multi-billion-dollar point systems, that they're not thinking about decentralizing that because points are so much more valuable, and you can incentivize a community so much more if they have true ownership over that digital asset. Because it means if I don't like to go to that coffee shop anymore, but I've gone there every single day for 300 days and I have all these points, I don't have to just get rid of those points. There's a marketplace that I can now sell those points to someone else, to whatever the market will bear. And so I think that NFTs and even maybe what we're calling meme coins now will ultimately kind of mirror what we see in the Web 2 world and call point systems or reward systems now, and that there will be a merging of those concepts, and you won't even know that you're engaging with an NFT. Just like we don't say MP3 anymore, just like we don't say I'm going to send you an MOV file. Ultimately, once the technology is ubiquitous enough, we lose the label, and people just say, "Oh yeah, I'm a part of their e-commerce reward system."
Oh man, I definitely love that answer. And yeah, John, it's been great kind of sitting here and kind of picking your brain though. But I do want to ask you a couple more things though, like in the sense of Nftreasure, you guys got all this stuff kind of going on. But a year from now, right? Where would you like to be?
Yeah, in a year I would love to have 100,000 garments out in the world, and a degen army that is activated via our NFC chips. So ultimately, where I think Nftreasure gets over the next year is that we're going to build out a back-end brand ambassador portal to our NFC chip. So imagine there's 100,000 t-shirts out in the wild, 100,000 hoodies, whatever the case may be. Well, they all have that computer chip on it, right? And so if I have an Nftreasure garment, when I scan my phone to that NFC chip, it's going to deploy a mobile-based app. On that, I'll be able to click on Brand Ambassador Marketplace or Rewards Marketplace or whatever we decide to call it. And our business development team will be actively going out and finding projects that want to sponsor and onboard people into Web3. So right now, if Starbucks wants to get a bunch of people to engage with an NFT, it's somewhat difficult for them because they don't have they do now because they've released an NFT. But before that, it was somewhat difficult for them to figure out, like, how are we going to engage Web3? Like, what's the right way to advertise to Web3 to get people that we know how to use a wallet, know how to navigate Web3. There right now, there's a lot of wasted advertising dollars because if you run a Super Bowl ad for a crypto platform, you're going to get a very low conversion rate because the majority of the public has no idea how to engage with Web3. And so it's wasted ad spend a lot of times. And so what brand, let's say that Puma wants to engage a Web3 audience because they're going to build some kind of a Web3 platform. Well, we could go to Puma and we could say, hey, for $50,000, $100,000, whatever the case may be, we will build out a reward system for you and activate our degen army. They've all claimed a digital NFT, so we know that they know how to use a Web3 wallet, and anyone with an Nftreasure garment will be able to opt into that Puma opportunity. So maybe the Puma opportunity is that they've got these new shoes that are for sale at every Foot Locker in the country. So we can geo-lasso every Foot Locker in the world, and if you wear your Nftreasure shirt to a Foot Locker and then scan your computer chip, your NFC chip in that geolasso, then you get a proof of attendance NFT that maybe can be redeemed for a coupon on those shoes. Maybe it gives you access to exclusive content. Maybe Puma has partnered with like a football star, and if you go and engage, you get to jump on a Zoom call with this person. So there's a lot of different ways that we can use our army of degens out in the world to bring to onboard brands like large corporations into the space, because it's incredibly meaningful when I go into a pitch with an ad agency or when our team goes into a pitch with a big corporation to say, how would you like to engage 100,000 people in the real world who all have deep knowledge of Web3? That's a powerful concept, and I think in a year, that's where we'll be with Nftreasure.
Oh man, I can't wait, and I can't wait to actually see what you guys are gonna got going on. And to remind everybody again, like, what's gonna be the mint price?
Yeah, so it's the retail mint price is 3 Avax, and we basically have 5 zones of minting. So if you go, I'm not sure when this video will air, but if you go to nftreasure.com/whitelist before February 28th, you'll be able to get whitelisted for Zone 4, which is a 10% discount. So it'll be 2.7 Avax per key that you mint. Otherwise, the retail rate is 3 Avax, and that gives you, it's basically a membership key into our entire ecosystem.
Oh, that is great. And, Jon Ray, I appreciate you coming on. But before you go, is there anything else you want to say, or any kind of community members you want to shout out, or anybody in general you want to shout out?
Yeah, well, I just appreciate content creators like you that are helping spread the word about interesting projects on Avax and beyond. If I was gonna give a call to action to anybody that's watching, is that there's such a huge opportunity to do what you're doing, Jarek, and to really talk about the things that you're passionate about and to talk with people who are passionate about what they're doing. And that's such a net win and positive for whatever ecosystem that you're in. And whether you have a huge YouTube account or you just want to do one interview with somebody that you think is interesting, I would encourage anybody to think about, how can I create content around the project that I'm in? And this isn't a shill to do it for Nftreasure. I'm saying whatever NFT project you're in, whatever DeFi project you're in, whatever crypto or meme coin project that you're in, even if you put a video up and have 0 subscribers, it is wildly heartening to the people building to see that people have that level of interest. And so don't think about, oh, I'm not going to do it because it's not going to get any views. Do it because you enjoy the builders and you enjoy the project, and those builders will be energized by your contribution to the community in that way. And sometimes they'll share your content out to a larger audience, which then puts you on the map in this group that you're a part of, and it can be interesting networking as well. But I think that's one of the best gifts that somebody can give a founder in crypto is to create meaningful content about their project, even if it's critical. Like constructive criticism is a good thing. We want to know where our blind spots are so that we can correct for them. And so I have deep appreciation for content creators. I'm willing to go on anybody's podcast, YouTube video, etc., to talk about the project, because I really think that the service that people like you offer to the larger crypto community to get the word out is incredibly valuable.
No, I appreciate that. It means a lot coming from you, and I want to thank you for coming on. I really do appreciate it. And guys, this wraps our show. If you like content like this, please like, comment, share, subscribe. Follow me on X. Definitely follow Jon Ray on X too as well, and Nftreasure. And I'll see you guys around on the next one. Take care.
Bye, y'all.